Welcome to the Blue Cafe. We offer stories of infidelity, betrayal, and redemption. Please like and subscribe. Cheers. Now, on to today's story. I think I have a twin. Advice needed. Update: first thing I'm working on is my birth certificate. If it tells me I'm one of one, I'll casually ask my mom who the girl in the photos is. TL: Dr. Dad left when 3, I think he and mom agreed to split me and twin and never talk again. First, I want to share some suspicions I have. Second, I know this will sound like the plot of The Parent Trap. Please don't write me off. Let's start with the basics. Dad left when I was 3. From what I've gathered, it was a non-violent yet ugly situation of loathing between the two. Mom has only talked about it once, and I suspect she regrets telling me. I'm a 24-year-old male BTW. My earliest 2 memories include a girl. In the first, we're in a room in my maternal grandparents' house, deciding that we're shy and don't want to talk to people, so when they ask us our age, we'll simply hold up 3 fingers. I'll never forget that moment, partly because I think it's the first time I ever held up 3 fingers at the same time. It was a new sensation. But she was there. A girl. I've ruled everything out. My grandmother's peers, neighbors, none of them had kids that age. There's simply no reason for this girl to exist. She's in another memory, a similar one, probably from the same time. This was one I forgot until recently. I work in marketing now. There's an old indoor sports center with 2 soccer fields/hockey rinks and a gym. In addition, there's offices, old arcade games, a place for concessions, and a daycare center. They've been closed for a while but were planning a big upswing pre-COVID. Our agency was going to give them a push, and I visited a little under a year ago to take some stills. As soon as I walked in, the memory hit me. My grandmother dropped us off at the daycare center inside us. I remembered it so vividly. Most of the lights were off, so the indoor fields looked like a dark ocean. The gym lights were on, and she must have been going to physical therapy. And she dropped 2 of us off. I know it was the girl from my 3 memory. It stuck with me, but I didn't chase the thought. It just must have been some girl. After all, there's no pictures of her, and no family member had ever brought it up. Then again, it's the exact same situation with my dad, whoever and wherever he is. Could he have taken her and my mom got me? I want to pursue this because one of the last things my grandmother ever said to me before she passed last fall sent chills down my spine. She was talking through the window of her home, and I was masked up and keeping my safe distance. She knew things were winding down, and her mind wasn't very sharp anymore. But, she said, "You've grown up so much. You were so small, back then, both of you were." I instinctively replied, "Both who?" But, she recoiled from answering as if she remembered not to say something. We helped clean her house after she passed away, Mom and I dug through some photos. Photos I had never seen that didn't tell me anything new, except for the same girl in the background of 3 of them. She's swimming in the pool, running in the park, and searching for Easter eggs at church. Is it her? I don't know. There's no pictures of my dad, and if they wanted to keep my potential sister a secret, I can understand she wouldn't be in any, but would it be possible that my grandmother kept somewhere she was slightly in the picture, whether intentional or not? What should my first step be? Talk with my mom? I DK.T want to seem crazy to her. I have a stepdad, but we're not too close since he came into the picture when I was a preteen. Who knows if he knows anything? I imagine my dad and sister are out there somewhere. Do you think I have enough to support that belief? Hey, all. I had no idea there were indications of multiple siblings on my birth certificate. I'm working on this today. For this is dependent on the state you're in, as I'm a twin and my sister and I have separate birth certificates, with no multiple or one of 2 checkboxes anywhere. So if you don't see those, don't assume it means you're not a twin. Also, talk to your mom first. You're clearly not crazy, especially since you've seen her in the background of these pictures. I think that op says a girl appears in 3 photos. Not specifically that it is the girl he remembers, just that it is an odd coincidence that the same unknown girl would be found in several photos taken at different times. Yeah, but I think that's reason enough to show he's not crazy. Well, we're all a little crazy but not that crazy. If they lived in a small town, and attended a daycare there, it would not be at all unusual to find the same person in several photos taken at local events. Now, if the op had said my heart stopped. I was looking into the face of the little girl from my memory, you would be onto something. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, but it's still enough of a reason to ask the question. Hey, who is this? Is harmless. You want the long-form birth certificate. It might also just be called an official copy. It is a standard request because this is a requirement for a US passport. You can likely go to your local county vital statistics office, depending on COVID lockdowns, and get a copy the same day. Is that state specific? My official birth certificate has no extra information on parents. The same copy got me my passport 2 years ago. There are some differences in each state, but the long form will usually have signatures of those present and more information than just your name and place of birth. It also depends on when you were born. I know that birth certificates in the 1950s, for example, had far less information than now. I'm sure states added more detail at different rates too. I think I have a twin. Part 2 conclusion, answered. Can't thank everyone for the support and for the overwhelming agreement that I should pull my birth certificate. Once I had the free time to do so, I got the copy. Sure enough, I'm one of one. No twins. The girl from my memories and possibly the photos still nagged at me. Enough was enough and I decided to do what many of you also suggested, honest talk with mom. I got the chance to sit down with her over dinner. It was tough convincing her not to bring my stepdad, but with my GF out for the night I managed to convince her it could be mother-son time. Then I hit her with the question, do I have a sister? Her reaction wasn't what I expected. It was almost like she was glad. Why do you ask? I told her everything I told you guys, my memories, Gma's slip up, and I showed her the photos we took from Gma's house. She was silent for a second. That would be your half-sister. She asked if I was ready, and told me the whole story of her and my dad, filling over the gaps, and, well, it's kinda shitty. My mom and I were a second family. My dad and half-sister's mom were married and were family friends. Dad cheated with my mom, and the timing couldn't have been more perfect. My half-sister and I were born within a month. Mom knew we were on the side and continued to go along with it, and my grandmother would babysit both of us. This is the time where all the memories and photos come from. When we were about 3, my half-sister's mom got wise to the truth, and insisted her family move away and cut off all contact. Obviously, that's exactly what happened. Mom wasn't happy as she liked the arrangement, and took it like a bad breakup. Mom and Gma, the only two who knew who my dad was, decided to not tell me. In a bit of not shitty news though, he's allegedly been financially supporting us the whole time. Just a bit here and there, but enough to make my life as comfortable as it was. Then Mom told me their names. She wants to be left out of it if I try to make contact, but I'm not sure I will just yet. That's a personal thing to figure out and I think I'll take my time. But, some social media searching led me to my half-sister's profile. I broke down in tears when I saw it because, even 20 years later, I recognized her. So, she's not my twin, but my half-sister is out there and she's exactly who I remember/thought she was. Thank you all for the support. It's my fervent wish for Op that it would be a happy reunion if/when he reaches out. But, I'm concerned this process could be a bumpy one. Given that her mother insisted they leave the area and cut contact, there's a good chance that his half-sister has no idea about her father's infidelity, let alone that there's a second family. There's also no way to know without asking him why his father chose not to be present, except financially, in his life for so many years, and hearing why may be challenging even with the best of intentions on all sides. None of that is Op's responsibility to manage for these people. He's totally innocent and entitled to reach out if he desires. However, walking into such a situation could be rough on him. My hope would be that he's got some solid support behind him if he does reach out. Having a therapist to help with thinking out this process, and how to best care for himself through it, could be really helpful. Just want to wish you lots of luck, and say that I'm proud of you for pursuing the truth. Edits, fixing some autocorrects and clarifying some points. This is so well put. My first thought was how Op could handle meeting his half-sister when it might mean blowing her family apart. I have no advice on how to navigate that except to suggest Op get some support from reunion charities, and a therapist if that's an option. That is not Op's burden to bear. I found out about 5 years ago that my bio dad, that I only saw once at 15, had 2 other kids. People kept telling me not to contact them because they clearly did not know about me. It was not my secret to keep. I did contact them, with proof we shared the same father. One did not want contact with me, saying I was just looking for drama. But I did form a relationship with the younger one. And it is one of my greatest joy. He is also very happy when he sees me or talks to me and looks exactly like my son. Long story short, the dad is ultimately responsible for hiding/cheating. No one else. We have to stop bottling everything up and protecting those who lie and cheat. The truth will set you free. This Op should definitely reach out. Because it wouldn't surprise me that his half-sister is having similar thoughts. Who knows, she may have remembered the same things as him. It's not his burden. I can't imagine that as a kid she didn't hear a single argument that didn't make her question some aspect of her family situation. I was thinking this too, she's gotta be sitting there having memories of her twin wondering why. I was thinking the same thing. Exactly. My mom has a half-brother that she didn't know existed until she was an adult. Then many years later social media became a thing and she agonized over searching for him. How much of the truth behind their shared father's history did he know? Would it rock the boat? What if her sisters found out? What if her mother found out? She finally sucked it up and searched for him on Facebook. 2 of her sisters had already friended him. She had struggled over nothing. All that to say, if Op is hurting like this and has done nothing wrong whatsoever, I don't think staying silent is the right way to go. His father made his choices a long time ago. It's possible that everyone is just staying silent to keep the status quo but all want to clear the air. Or you could have a little empathy for whatever their familial situations may be. There's a good chance that his half-sister has no idea about her father's infidelity. I was on the other side of this equation. I did not learn about any of it until I was 38. Somewhere out there I have a younger half-brother named Michael. I'm 71, so he would be about 67. When my sister FedExed me an envelope, she didn't tell me what was in it, but said I should have a couple of drinks handy and my therapist on speed dial. The toxic waste, as we called that envelope, detailed, extensively, a 28-year relationship between my father and another woman, along with the existence of our half-brother. I have written of those details in the past, so I'll just say that calling it the toxic waste really doesn't do it justice. Have you ever attempted to contact said half-brother? No. At the time this happened, 1986, my sister was married to a great lawyer. He didn't try to make our decision for us, but he laid out a few scenarios of what could occur if we did try to contact Michael and how that could affect the 2 of us and affect our half-brother and whatever family he had. Without going into a lot of detail here, he pointed out that the amount of unbridled rage exhibited in the cover letter, written by Ruth's sister after she had died, indicated that this was not something they emotionally had swept under the rug. and that rage was real and justified. Short version, after 28 years together, 1976, my father had abandoned Ruth when she became seriously ill with lupus. And Michael was not the son of Ruth and my father, his mother was Sharon, Ruth's at the time 14-year daughter. My bill suggested a couple of scenarios that did not end well for one or more of the participants, and that they would have about 10,000 volts of rage behind them. Even though we were total innocents in this, he felt our lives might be at risk. The sins of the father took on a whole new meaning for us that day. I'm sorry to hear about that. Having found out at 8 that my dad has a sister that was put up for adoption before he was a twinkle, I always like to ask others about their experiences regarding family members they've never met. I agree that he should proceed carefully, but if they're almost exactly the same age, it's possible that she's been plagued by the same hazy indistinct memories that have caused Op so much distress. I don't envy Op's sister's mom. I can't even imagine what I would do in the same situation, but as painful as it may be for her, she's naive or in denial if she thinks that this will never come out. Maybe when it first happened that would have been a reasonable thought, assuming Op is late teens 20s, but not with today's technology. I mean, one of my 5th cousins, yes, 5th, we share a set of great-great-great-great-grandparents, found me a few years ago while working on his family genealogy just by searching public records of obituaries and the online white pages. I hope his sister's mom has had some kind of therapy or counseling to help her work through the absolute inevitability of this exact situation. This is all good advice. Do you think it would be better for him to reach out to his dad first? That way his dad can either break the news to his half-sister and maybe ask if she's interested in meeting him, or tell Op that he doesn't want to tell her yet because it would be too rough on her. You all really think Dad can be trusted to do the right thing, either way? Fair enough. I actually agree with this route in all honesty. What if she doesn't have any memories of Op and he just contacts her via social media claiming all this? What if her parents haven't let anything slip so she literally has no idea? As unlikely as it sounds, it's still plausible. I'd contact the dad first and speak to him about it. You've got to remember as well, we have no idea what's going on in their lives since they left either. Anything could have changed. Dads are the only ones that should at least give him the light of day. Sister may not even know who he is and the other mother has made her feelings abundantly clear. Yeah, you should be really careful about this. Yeah, I think it really depends on how old the people in question are. I assumed this person was in their 20s, but if they're younger that might be a bit complicated. I know someone who was in a similar situation and she just lied to her half-brother and claimed she was his cousin and eventually told him the truth when they were older. Fortunately, that went over just fine and they're still super close to this day. I think your advice to go ask a therapist for help is a good idea. I mean, finding out you're a secret family is enough to unpack on its own, let alone having a half-sister you grew up with suddenly get taken away from you. This is so well said. I agree wholly. Who is my stepdad? I think I have a twin part 3/final update. Resolved. First off, I don't really need anything solved, I just wanted to share an update since so many people have expressed interest. Thank you for your kind words. Post 1. Post 2. Hey, it's the guy who thought he had a twin sister but discovered he was actually a part of a second family. It's been an interesting couple of months. Well, where did I leave off? Not long after I discovered the identities of my biological dad and half-sister from my mom, my stepdad sat me down. It was pretty generic "you're my stepson, yes but you're a son to me" stuff. Like I said in a previous post, he's a good guy, we're just not the closest. He looked like he wanted to say something else, however. He lingered, opened his mouth, then closed it. Left my room with a polite nod and that was that. I didn't pay too much attention at the time. Here's some important background on my stepdad. He started dating my mom when I was 12, and they got married when I was 15. Like my mom, He doesn't do any social media and holds a steady job. He's a middle-of-the-road, normal guy. I never thought he'd have skeletons in his closet, too. See, I have my mom's last name, and, in a sweet move, my stepdad took our last name when they got married. I'm the one joining your family, he would say. He's one of the nicest guys I've met. More on that later. My mom told me a bit more about the arrangement with my dad when he moved away with his wife and daughter. She said that my dad supporting us financially wasn't as simple as him mailing a check every month, but she didn't elaborate too much. So, I have access to the names and contact information to my biological father and half-sister. They live on the other side of the country and seemed pretty normal. With a lot of nervousness and doubt, I decided to reach out. I'll spare you the whole process. A couple of texts, a couple of days pass, Dad and I have a video call, and then, when it seems like an awkward foray was coming to an end. How about I fly you out here? Lots of soul searching and mental preparedness later, I set cross country to meet my, as I've been calling them, half family. I was shocked. My dad was like me, a huge nerd and collector. His wife was very nice, and even took me aside one time to share that she had no ill will towards me, and not even much towards my mom anymore. She apologized for being the one to keep me from my dad so long, but I let her know she wasn't to blame. And my sister. My sister and I have become best friends in the past 6 months. The headline here is, she remembered me, too. She has several more memories than I. She can't remember the 3 thing, but she remembers daycare at the indoor athletic facility, and told me about riding little battery-powered 4-wheelers at Grandma's. I remembered it as soon as she said it. We are twins in all but mothers. We've become pen pals, discussing our families and what our growing up experiences have been. And, it turns out, it's a good thing I had her for support when what happened. I visited their home in the Pacific Northwest this summer, when there was an insane heat wave. They have no AC in the home, no need for it, so the house was consistently reaching 90 degrees. We're sitting around one night, my half family and I, sweating on the deck. The sun had sunk behind the mountains and we were sharing some beers and telling stories. Dad was telling a story about a day he skipped school while his brother went to school, and Dad got away with it because his brother signed his attendance sheet. My dad's wife said, my stepdad's name has always been punctual, and my dad said, quickly after that, yeah, we all know that, even you, Anon. We all kind of froze. My sister looked just as confused as me, my dad's wife stared silently into her glass, and my dad sighed. Yeah, I didn't know how to tell you about this part. I was thinking he might want to. Here's the shocker. So, way back when my half family left, my dad had his brother, my uncle, take care of the family. Bring my groceries, fix up the house. He helped us out a lot, and, for the first decade of my life he was kept distant from me. But then, he and my mom fell in love. I was a preteen when I was introduced to him as my mom's boyfriend. My dad was shocked by the relationship and cut off contact, and my uncle married my mom when I was 15. Once I was sure everything was finally out in the blue, I think I was okay. My stepdad/uncle and my dad don't really talk anymore for obvious reasons. I had an enjoyable rest of my visit, but dreaded coming home to confront my stepdad. Uncle? God, I wish you all could have known how I felt. Once back, I sat my mom and stepdad down. I know you're my uncle. Just like every other problem I've had over the past year, it resolved much more easily than I could have imagined. I begged my parents, all of them, to tell me everything I don't know. I'll keep personal conversations personal beyond this story, but, for the first time in my life, I know everything about myself. I know it's messed up. I was part of a second family. Grandma was forced to keep secrets. Not knowing my real dad, or even the existence of my half-sister. My stepdad being my uncle. But, I turned out okay. I'm in a steady relationship and have a good job, and I'm barely in my mid-20s. I've learned valuable lessons from the mistakes of my loved ones, and I want to leave you with this. My parents have had the weight of the world on their shoulders for 20 years. In the past couple of months, we've found cathartic healing and a stronger bond than ever. Forgiveness is in the air. I like to think my grandma knew this would happen eventually. Don't keep secrets from your loved ones. But if you have some currently, approach the situation deftly and honestly. Times will be tough, but the light at the end of the tunnel is relieving. I'm not confused anymore. My family has doubled in size, physically and emotionally. For the first time ever, we'll continue to grow as one. TLDR, my stepdad is my uncle. Update: I know this isn't a post asking for help. I just wanted to update everyone since I've had hundreds of messages over the past couple of months. Thank you all. Holy duck, my dude, wild. Wow, I remember reading your first posts about this not so long ago. I'm glad everything turned out fine for you, smile. Hey op, this would make an excellent post over at r/genealogy. Also over at r/writing prompts. Oh wait. Not gonna lie, this whole thing from part 1 till now was one wild ducking ride. Felt like I was reviewing a telenovela for a minute there. That said, I'm happy that everything has worked out for you and your crazy little awesome family. I am so glad about this update, because I remember reading the first one. It's pretty unfortunate that your stepdad and bio-dad had a falling out and don't talk anymore. It seems like after all this time they could find a way to try and reconnect. It's some sort of strange foreshadowing how your stepdad signed the attendance sheet for him, taking care of his business, cleaning up his mess, brother's keeper so to speak. Then end up basically raising the kid he abandoned. Not to throw too much shade at your dad for leaving like he did, that is just a really messed up situation, and at least he made an effort to provide. This is probably about the closest to a happy ending you could actually have in a situation like this. I found out that my dad isn't my biological father when I was 38 years old. Crazy shit happens in families. It didn't say on your birth certificate. When he adopted me, my birth certificate was amended and the original was sealed. Fun fact, I can only look at my own original birth certificate with a court order. I'm not sure what the obvious reasons are that your dad and his brother stopped talking. Your bio dad chose his wife and daughter. It isn't like your mom chose stepdad over him. Regardless, I'm glad that you got answers when you asked questions, but I'm sorry you had to wonder and ask. That struck a nerve for me as well. How does it feel to be your own cousin? Seriously though, glad this all worked out and the air is clear. We hope you have enjoyed today's episode. Please comment, like and subscribe. Cheers. Have a wonderful day or night, wherever you are.